Illinois' agriculture chief says the Trump administration's economic relief for farmers is not nearly enough. That's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Thursday, December 18th. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with the director of the Illinois Agriculture Department, who says President Trump's proposed $12 billion in aid for farmers affected by tariffs against Illinois trading partners is like putting a Band-Aid on a heart attack. WGLT's Charlie Schlenker has more.
State Agriculture Director Jerry Costello says the projected losses to the ag sector from the tariffs are exponentially higher than the economic pain caused by tariffs against China and Chinese retaliation during President Trump's first term. Yet the aid is less than half the money allotted the first go-round.
It's beyond logic where we are in the trade wars that we're having with so many different countries.
Costello says he could have understood strategic limited tariffs as a tool to get to an agreement, but not this. He says Illinois has around $8.7 billion in agricultural exports per year. 80% of that goes to Canada, Mexico, and China, all places on which the federal administration has imposed tariffs.
And that's not adding everything in. I mean, you can't talk about affordable housing and be in a trade war with Canada, which is a huge lumber producer and supplier for the U.S.
Costello says Illinois' soybean sales to China had not even recovered from the first round of tariffs 7 years ago.
I'm scared that we're rivaling a scenario like we saw in the 80s for agriculture.
And even though there was a bumper crop this year, Costello says low commodities prices mean most producers are underwater on that crop, if they can even find someone to sell to. Costello says farmer stress the state is seeing right now is enormous. For The Leadoff, I'm Charlie Schlenker.
Here's some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. A house fire in Normal that led to a 13-year-old boy's death last month was caused by candles. That's according to Normal Fire Department investigators who ruled the mobile home fire in North Meadow Village was an accident. IHSA member schools this week approved 12 changes, including an expansion of football playoffs. This adds 16 new schools to each of the football's 8 playoff classes. That allows any school with 3 or more wins to be eligible. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul has announced a multi-state settlement with Menards over its 11% off everything advertising. Raoul says the advertising falsely implied customers would get a point of purchase discount when it was actually in store credit. You can find more on these stories at WGLT.org. The city manager for the town of Normal says 2025 was a good year for the town. In this interview with WGLT's Charlie Schlenker, city manager Pam Reece lays out some of the highlights from town government this year.
Of course, we've completed some infrastructure projects and things that are very important in terms of transportation. But the things that have been the most fun to experience, I think, have been more of our cultural arts, almost the quality of life and activity projects. Reopening of Fairview Park's skate park area was such a neat experience. It's probably one of the most fun ribbon-cutting events I've ever attended. And that skate park has turned out great, and it's been very popular, so that's been fun. And then, of course, advancing our public art plan. I'm very proud of how we've been able to move forward with that. And with partnership of the Public Art Advisory Committee, and in hopefully spring of 2026, we'll see our first installments of sculpture. So I think that's very exciting. And then one very notable change to our cultural arts department has been the addition of the Illinois Art Station. I'm very proud of that. I think the Illinois Art Station leadership and the town's cultural arts department came to a very beneficial solution, and things are going well with the Illinois Art Station, and so that's really interesting and fun to see.
How much has programming resumed there since the town took it?
Well, we spent most of the summer and early fall completing the projects that Illinois Art Station had already scheduled and planned for. And now we finished up the fall and are into the winter scheduling of projects that were developed by the current team. And I think attendance has been very, very good. Things are going well there, and that's just a wonderful asset in our cultural arts sphere of opportunities, and we couldn't be more grateful for the leaders of the Illinois Art Station Foundation and the board that thought this would be a good partnership.
What are your goals for 2026?
Well, first, don't stop. Keep going with positive, impactful things for our community. So we want to continue to advance our programming and cultural arts and parks and rec and finish the things on our plates. Always at the top of my list is making sure, as best I can, that the town continues to be moving forward in a financially stable and strong position. And then we will be updating our Town of Normal strategic plan in 2026. So we're partnering with Northern Illinois University's Center for Governmental Studies, and they're coming in to assist with updating our strategic plan, which will lay out our priorities for the next 3 to 5 years.
Bloomington recently tweaked its code enforcement procedures, making inspectors more active in verifying complaints from residents and viewing potential problems on their own as well. How does the town handle that process?
We are pretty open to addressing all sorts of concerns and issues that are raised by our residents. We often go out and visit apartments and respond to issues at all levels. Even recently responded to an incident where someone stayed at a hotel and had concerns. We always want to follow up with the management or the ownership groups to make sure problems are getting resolved. I can't give you specifics in terms of how our actions may be congruent or different than Bloomington's, but it's always at the top of our priorities to be responsive and provide the best level of customer service. So if there's room where we need to improve, that will be something that we focus on.
That's Normal City Manager Pam Reece. She spoke with Charlie Schlenker. You can hear the rest of their conversation tonight at 5 on WGLT's Sound Ideas. Before we let you go, some news about this podcast. The Leadoff will produce its last episode tomorrow, Friday, December 19th. Listener habits have changed a lot since the Leadoff debuted 6.5 years ago. Over 1,000 episodes later, we've learned that individual news stories and newscasts attract the most listeners. So that's where we're putting our energy. If you don't already, you should subscribe to WGLT's Sound Ideas or Newscasts podcast to get all the local news you need to start your day. And that is it for this day. I'm Ryan Denham, and the show is produced by Lou Warner.